Hi, I'm Chelsa Meadus, and I want to represent you on Maple Ridge City Council. Take action, get involved, and learn about the issues that matter most in our community. On November 15th, come out, show your support. A lot is riding on this election. You matter, and together we will do better. So thank you for joining us on our citizen-led segment. And today on the program, we have Annika from Alouette Addictions, and we have Jen, who's a community member, and we're here to talk about some of the issues that our community faces, some things that are going well, and some things we need to work on. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Maybe if you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do, that would be great. Do you want to start?
Okay. Sure. So my name's Annika, and I'm the Executive Director for Alouette Addiction Services here in Maple Ridge. So we're a registered nonprofit, and we've been in the community for well over 20 years, and we provide outpatient counseling for people who are struggling with addiction, with substance abuse issues, but not only for the person who's struggling, but also for those that are affected by a loved one's abuse. So we help by doing one-on-one sessions, we do group counseling, we do drop-in sessions, and we offer a variety of tools and ways for people to be able to achieve sobriety and then maintain it.
And Jen, tell us about what you do and why you're here today.
Well, I am a former addict. I have been about 11 and a half years completely clean and sober. I was an addict in Maple Ridge, and I currently reside in Maple Ridge. And so I'm just a community member.
Excellent. So Jen and I connected actually over social media, and ever since then we've found that we have a lot of things in common, and one of them being that our heart is in Maple Ridge and we want to do some good in Maple Ridge. And she's been a great connection to bring some of the citizens to talk about the different things that are going on. So in terms of Alouette Addictions, how long have you been in the community, and what kind of things are you seeing going on currently?
Well, Alouette Addictions, like I said, has been around for over 20 years, and so we've certainly seen an increase in the need for our services. I've been in Maple Ridge for coming up on 20 years, so I've seen lots of growth and lots of change here. And my background is working for the Hospital Foundation for 8 years before coming to Alouette a couple of years ago. And one of the things that caught my attention when I had the opportunity to join Alouette Addictions was that I had a couple of experiences in my life with loved ones and people in our life who we lost 2 young girls to overdoses. And so one was 16 and one was 18. And I realized very quickly that the face of addiction was changing, and people weren't talking about it. It was kind of like sex was in the 50s, it was happening, but nobody wants to talk about it, and our kids are dying. And so what are we going to do to change that? What kind of messaging do we need to get out to the community to let people know that it's not embarrassing, it's not something you've done wrong, it's something that we need to talk about and we need to change. And so it just gave me that motivation to want to join the team and really raise awareness of our services and ways that we can prevent our kids and our family from doing any more self-harm than we already are, and turn things around.
Well, that's excellent. So you talked a lot about the different services that you provide. Can you kind of take us through step by step from maybe prevention through to intervention?
Absolutely. So I have a part-time crystal meth outreach worker, so he's out in the community working with some of the really higher risk youth and people in the community. We have a school-based prevention worker, and so she works in all the high schools in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, a variety of kids from different referral sources, whether it's from the school or self-referral or family that's concerned about their child, and really working around harm reduction. We do believe in, if a person wants to achieve complete sobriety, we can support that goal, but if their first step is to work towards harm reduction, then that's, we're fully in support of that. So we would do anything from school-based prevention, education in grade 6 and 7 around being aware of drugs and the risks of substance use, right through to dealing with kids in extremely high crisis. And then we have drop-in counseling, so anybody can come into our doors 8:30 to 11, Monday to Friday. You just simply walk through the door and say, I'd like to see a counselor. And you see somebody that day. Yeah, so there's no waiting list, there's no referral, there's no costs. Just come on in and see somebody, have a 15-minute, 20-minute conversation, talk a little bit about what's happening for you. Maybe it's a check-in because you're struggling, you're struggling to stay sober. maybe you're realizing that you might need some help, or maybe you're in panic mode because your child's overdosed and is in the hospital and you don't know what to do. So whatever that experience is for you, just simply come in and ask to see a counselor. And from there you can attend any one of our dozen groups a week that are free. There are topics anything from anger management and relapse prevention. We try to do a variety of topics to meet everybody's needs. And you can start seeing a counselor one-on-one in private sessions. And all of that's free.
Wow.
Yeah, so we also do parent drug forums each year in the fall. Planning them now for January, February, March. At the high schools, parents are invited, grandparents are invited. If you have a child in grade 6 or older, come for free to a parent drug forum. Learn about what's happening in your schools, the challenges your kids are facing, the current drug trends on the market, behaviors of kids who might be using, why kids use, all those kinds of things, and what resources are available if you are concerned that you may have a child who's in trouble. So we don't charge for anything that we do. I would say our key message is that education is prevention. So we really need to get the message out there to educate the kids and the families about what's happening so we can prevent them from going down the wrong path.
Wow, I had no idea that you had that many services.
We do.
And so do you find it a challenge to get the information to the public?
You know, like I said, I've only been with Allied Addictions for just over a year, I guess a year and a half. And when I first joined the team, it was a very quiet agency. It's what I would call the hidden gem. Mm-hmm. They have a full caseload, they were busy, and there just wasn't the resources to get out into the community and really raise awareness of who we were and what we were doing. And that's been a big part of my role and my focus, is to really let people know that we're here to help. You don't have to be in addiction, you don't have to be looking for complete sobriety. You can just simply be struggling and lost or scared. As a parent, if you're worried about your child, how great is it to know you can come in and in 20 minutes chat to somebody and find out what your next step should be, or how you could better communicate with them, or what to watch for. And so, getting the word out to the public is a challenge, but it's certainly been one of my number one focuses.
And so, Jen, how do you, I know that you were saying that you were, you actually used the services of Allied Addictions.
I did, yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about that and how that went for you.
It was an excellent service. It was an absolutely excellent service. I used Alouette in my early sobriety, and I had a one-to-one counselor, and she took me through some steps. She guided me towards certain community resources, and I made the choice to access those community resources, which is, I'm sure, part of the reason I'm still sober today. Alouette Addictions provides an absolutely necessary service in this community. I would love to see them do more. I have to ask, why is the counseling only available 8:30 to 11?
That's just for the drop-in sessions.
Okay.
And actually, I should say that we also have it on Thursday afternoons. Mm-hmm. So we have a counselor each day who's assigned to drop-in, so that rather than people coming in and getting an appointment 3 weeks down the road,
yeah, they
can come in and just have that check-in first thing and then start the process. So counseling's available all the time. It's just that you would start working with a counselor on a regular basis after that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Or if somebody misses their appointment, say they're sick and they miss their appointment with their regular counselor, they can come for a quick check-in during that counselor's drop-in day. Mm-hmm. So it just allows that flexibility, and the way it's designed, it actually allows for us to have no wait list.
That's excellent.
I believe we are the only agency in all of BC that offers this kind of program with no wait list.
What an excellent community resource.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. It's a great team, great services. I've been a part of the team for a little while, and they've certainly taught me a lot about the work that they do and how passionate they are about the well-being of their clients. I'm really lucky to be a part of it. Mm-hmm.
So in Maple Ridge, what is actively happening with your group beyond just Alouette Addictions? How are you connected to other organizations in the community, and can you speak to some of the work that's being done just in general in the community?
Oh, sure. We're connected to a lot of community services. Obviously, we work closely with the RCMP, with the school district, with emergency services, with plea and youth diversion and Ministry of Children, and there's a variety of community resources and programs out there. Cythera, Salvation Army at Caring Place. And we have a lot of really great people in our community who want to help those who are less fortunate, or those who are struggling or have been through severe trauma that's led them down this path. And so we work really closely with a lot of them, and it's often about referring them to other services that may be helpful for them. But You know, as a whole, I think we as a community have a lot more services available than people realize. And people are really passionate about Maple Ridge. They really care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do.
So Jen, when we were talking earlier, you were talking about your perception of some of the services that you think are potentially missing and could be really helpful to people in Maple Ridge. Do you want to
Absolutely.
touch on that?
Yeah. As an addict, I know, in my experience, when an addict requests a service or feels that they need a service, there can't be a wait time, because we have that window of opportunity that's very, very short-lived, and then we go back into our addiction cycle, right?
Yeah.
And then that glimmer of hope is gone. Alouette Addictions provides an absolutely necessary service in the community by having that no wait list option available. But there's other resources in the community that you do have to wait for those services. And a lot of people in addiction, they really don't have that much time. And it's a very sad reality. And in Maple Ridge, you know, back in my using days, this was a problem, certainly. But now addiction in this community has become more of an epidemic. The problem has grown over the years. And these resources are just so incredibly important to have. I would like to see more community resources available. Perhaps a detox center is one of the things that I brought up to you earlier.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people in the community would argue with me that that would bring people in addiction to Maple Ridge, but I think that we can better serve the people within our community by having that service available as well, because they're currently having to go to Vancouver or to Surrey, and there is a wait list.
So walk us through, somebody is decided that at this moment in time they would like to receive treatment. They've decided that they would like to stop the cycle that's going on in their life. What would then happen to that person?
Well, I can't really speak for anyone else. I can tell you what happened to me. I had a police officer save my life, and she's still one of my good friends to this day. I was 74 pounds. I probably didn't have much longer to live, to be quite honest. I was essentially kind of held against my will for a couple of days until I could have a clear head. My head cleared enough to realize that, you know, I'm 19 years old. I have been an addict since I was 13 years old. Where is my life going? You know, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I was able to get into a detox center several days later. So there was a wait list for that. I did get in. I was supervised detoxing, did that, and then I was able to go into a treatment center, which I did have to travel for. This particular treatment center was on the island, so I went there. Again, there was a wait list, so I had to wait from June 26th to July 4th to be able to get into that treatment center. I'm seeing that a lot of people in addiction, they don't have that time to wait. There's an overall, not just in this community, but overall, a lack of services available for the amount of people that are in active addiction, especially in regards to wait times.
I would agree with that completely. The wait lists for some of our treatment centers are 2, 3, 4 weeks and longer.
And then there's the funding issue around that as well.
That's right.
This addicts don't have any money.
They don't have any money. No, we don't have money. No, it's true. And if I can just echo more about what you said about sort of the journey of what it looks like for somebody who's in addiction, no two people's story is the same. No two people's experience is the same. You know, we may have people who come to us, a mom who has taken care of her kids her whole life, and she's become lonely and isolated and bored, and she's now a cocaine addict. It could be somebody who's living on the street, pushing around a shopping cart, who, you know, is abused since the age of 4. It could be someone who's being bullied at school or struggling with their sexuality and just turning to drugs and alcohol for that escape, or it could be someone who's been an active drug user for 25 years and has been using our needle exchange and harm reduction supplies, who finally one day decided, you know, maybe instead of needles today I'm going to talk to somebody. So, you know, that experience is so different for everybody.
Yeah.
And I would say too that for a lot of people, by the time they get to that place where they're ready to go into treatment and really fight for their sobriety, they have, you know, sort of quote unquote burned all their bridges. So they've lied to their friends, they've lied to their family, they've stolen, they've cheated, they perhaps have been a sex trade worker, they've isolated themselves from every potential support available, and, you know, maybe the 7th or 8th time that they said, oh no, this time I'm going to get clean. And so people are frustrated, and so oftentimes they're really having to go through this all by themselves, because they've been in addiction so long that they've lost that whole support system.
Yes.
And that makes it so much harder.
That's
So
why
much
the
harder.
services are so necessary in our community. People in addiction, we use because we can't feel. Like we can't do it. We're not capable of having any emotion at all. If we're happy, we have to use. If we're sad, we have to use. If there's any fear or pain or anything, we have to use to try and deal with those feelings, because they're so overwhelming for us. So your services are just so crucial, because you have the counseling services available to help these people work through like these newfound emotions, you know, and what do we do with them?
They're overwhelming.
You know, they're extremely overwhelming.
Yeah, it's true.
It took me years and years to, you know, and it took a lot of work, but it took me a long time to be able to come to a place where I felt that I could actually maintain my sobriety.
Hard work, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, we see a lot of people who are struggling, and I always thought that it was, before I started in this job, I thought, wow, it would be so hard to get off the drugs or get off the alcohol. But what the clients have taught me and what my team have taught me is that quitting is easy.
It's the easy part.
Staying is hard. And that's something that I didn't understand. I didn't really think about what that meant when once you got sober and you had to start dealing with your life and realizing that your parents and your children wouldn't talk to you, and your kids have been taken away from you, were in foster care, and you didn't have a house, and you didn't have a job, and you didn't have a driver's license, and you didn't have a bank card, and you couldn't get a bank account because you didn't have ID, and you didn't have any money to go to get ID. Like, just that whole process of getting a driver's license and a social insurance number and a care card is overwhelming.
Yeah.
You have no house, no money, no ID, no support, nothing. So you come out of treatment and you think, oh, I feel great, and within 20 minutes,
You're loaded.
yeah, you're beat up, you're done, you're frustrated.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's why
it's
these
tough.
services are so crucial.
Yeah, those are the things that I'm learning. I'm learning about what it looks like for somebody to come out of a treatment center or decide to be sober. And then when they're sober and they have to look around at kind of the shrapnel, right?
Yeah.
Of what happened from their friends and family and work, and you don't have any credit rating, no one will let you have a place to rent because you blew your credit rating, and don't even have a picture ID to show who you are. You don't have an address.
So you can't get a job because you don't have an address.
All
It's a
these
vicious
things.
cycle.
It is a vicious cycle. So it's definitely been a huge learning curve for me to understand how complex the issue is, and how much our services, but other services, are needed in order to support people who are working towards sobriety or harm reduction.
That long term is not something I even actually considered. You always think of getting the person into treatment, and you don't think, because how long would you then, somebody may need services for how long, would you say?
Their whole life.
Uh-huh. And so how does the funding look for services? Like, where is the gaps in funding, and where do you see we need to do more?
Oh boy.
That's
a loaded question. So we're mainly funded through Fraser Health.
Okay.
And so, as we all know, healthcare is always experiencing cutbacks. There's just simply not enough money to provide the services that we need. That's why the Hospital Foundation exists and cancer agencies exist, and we exist as registered nonprofits to raise money to supplement what we're getting. You know, they do the best they can to give you the best funding possible, but it's just never enough to do what needs to be done. And so that's one of my reasons for actively fundraising. From an agency perspective, we could use 2 or 3 more counselors and 1 school-based prevention worker for 7,200 kids. I have over 1,000 kids last year make contact with my 1 school-based prevention worker.
That's unmanageable.
It's completely unmanageable. You figure that the percentage of kids in our high schools that are reaching out to my 1 prevention worker, you know, what's happening to the ones who aren't reaching out or who are being missed or falling through the cracks or, you know, that we could be helping. So we could desperately use a couple more school-based prevention workers for sure. We need to be doing work in the elementary schools, which we're not doing. You know, the reality is by the time a child gets to high school, they've been offered drugs multiple times in grade 6 and 7. They've possibly been sexually active and drank before they're 14. So when we jump in at 14 and want to try and teach them what not to do, they've already chosen. They've already potentially done it. So we need to be reaching out to them by grade 6 and providing that education, which currently isn't happening. So that's a big piece.
And your service, is it Maple Ridge? Is it Pitt Meadows? What areas do you service?
We're Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows.
Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And certainly I would support you too in saying that we need more detox beds for sure. And more treatment beds. You know, people are waiting 3-4 weeks,
Yes.
and there is a small window of time that, you know, and that's why we have that drop-in. But drop-in is a very small piece of a very big puzzle. So, you know, we can perhaps support them and encourage them to come back every day for drop-in, and we help do the referrals and we help secure the funding for them to get into their treatment centers, and then we provide them with ongoing counseling when they come out. But there's just simply not enough beds for treatment.
So as a citizen, what can citizens support you with? How can we help more?
Another long question. So, you know, we're actively fundraising. So that's one of the big pieces for us, is that, you know, we know that we can do more and we know that there's more need. So if we raise the money, then we can do more. And some of the things that we've been able to do, like I say, the parent drug forums, we've been able to raise funds to put those on. We've been able to change our hours a little bit to offer some evening support programs for families who are affected by addiction. We've raised money to be able to offer some alternate programming. We did some Zumba, and we're introducing some trauma-informed yoga coming up, some art therapy. So anytime that somebody's interested in helping us to raise funds to make those kinds of services available, that's really a huge piece of the puzzle for us. We also encourage all the community members to talk about drugs and alcohol, right? I mean, I think that's the big piece, that you can help us by talking to your family and talking to your kids and preventing them from going down the path that, you know, some kids can try once or twice and that's it, they don't like it and they walk away. But not everybody is that lucky, and sometimes you end up going down a path that's just loaded with mistakes and takes you somewhere you never thought you'd be. So as families and as parents, I think, you know, we used to picture the drug addict being the person on the bike, right? The homeless person pushing their shopping cart. But the reality is that I'm the face of addiction, and we're the face of addiction. I may not be an addict, but I am touched, I am affected, my life has been forever changed by addiction. And so we have to stop pretending like it's not happening. We have to talk to our kids about it. We have to be brave enough to step outside of our comfort zone. And when you do that, you will realize that every single person you come in contact with is the face of addiction. If you're embarrassed and you hide it, if you have someone in your family and you don't want to talk about it and you don't reach out to your friends and your family because you're embarrassed or you think you did something wrong or you're ashamed or you don't know what to do, then you're just making it a bigger problem. So we need to stop hiding and pretending like it's not happening. It's a white picket fence problem. It's in all of our houses. So if I had to say one thing that people could do to help us, it would be to reach out and educate your kids and your families.
So many people think that, you know, oh no, this isn't going to be my child, or no, this couldn't happen to me or my family.
We all think that.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's in my house. You know, people are shocked to say, oh, I had no idea. Well, I think if you talk to people about it, you realize that it's all of us.
I come from a very good family. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's issues, but, you know, what family doesn't have those? But I come from a good family, a good background. I went to a good school. I just happened to be offered crack cocaine when I went to babysit.
Wow.
and I didn't even know what it was. I was handed this Pepsi can with smoke coming out of it, and the mother of this little boy said, "Hey, try this," and I went, "Okay,
That'll do it.
and that was it.
Yeah. And the other thing, and those are the experiences that we hear that are just so overwhelming as a parent, because like you say, I have a good job, my husband's a hard worker, our kids are in sports, we take them to the play, we think we provide a good environment for them, and we try to choose similar families to spend time with, right, who have the same values as us. And then we bury 2 girls before their 18th birthdays. Not our daughters, but ones that I felt were like a second daughter to me. So how did that happen? Where did we go wrong? Why are we not talking about this, and why are we not working to change it? People don't realize the risk that their kids are having when they go babysitting, when they go on a basketball trip for the weekend, when they go, to skateboard at the park. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So we have to really talk to our families and talk to our kids. And as parents, we need to be open to listening. And even if our kids make mistakes, it's about how we respond to those mistakes.
I like that you talked about the face of addiction, because I think you just hit the nail perfectly, as we all think that we're so distant, but once we start talking, we realize how interconnected we are. Similar to cancer, we are all connected when we start talking. So you're talking about making sure that parents talk to kids, and then you were talking about some of the services that you offer. So as a parent, how can I support my kids? And then Jen, maybe if you can talk about someone who is suffering through addiction, how as a friend, as a mother, as someone in the community, we can support those people, to not facilitate but support.
Well, I think that people need to be educated more on the topic of addiction. Addiction is a recognized disease. It is a disease. It does start out being a choice. You have that choice to put that first drink or that first drug in your body. But then after you've taken that first hit or that first drink, you all of a sudden have zero control and you can't stop. And people don't understand. They're not educated. And that's not their fault. But some people, it's you said it touches everyone. For some people, it's too painful. It is like cancer. It's too painful to go there. It's too painful to talk about.
And so as parents, what are some of the programs that you offer in terms of education and how to talk to our kids?
Well, parent drug forums are definitely our number one opportunity to help parents. And they are, like I said, they do 3 or 4 a year. They're free of charge. They'll be advertised in the papers and on Facebook and in a variety of ways in the local media to let parents know to come to those events. And it's because we have such a limited number of staff and limited resources, it's one way to reach many. And you can come to the events. And we actually have a mock drug kit that we've put together. It's been together for years. We put it out and parents can see what the different drugs look like and the different drug paraphernalia. And people are shocked by what a teenager can do with duct tape and a 2-liter pop bottle.
You bet.
You would be amazed at some of the things, the way the drugs are marketed in great little candy bags and look like gum wrappers and all kinds of things. So for parents to come to those events and to learn and see what to watch for in your kid's backpack, little pieces of what you would think were pocket lint, they're filters for the needles. So not saying that every child is bringing home drug filters, but what I am saying is that you can come and see what's out there on the street, see what your kids are being presented with, learn from other students who have become sober through our support and through their own struggles. They talk about their journey and why they started and what brought them to finally decide to work towards sobriety, and learn from the professionals, really get that message out there about how to talk to your kids. And sometimes it's counterintuitive. In my house, if my kids did something wrong, it was point the finger and punish and take away the car keys or whatever that looked like. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just some of the things that they teach are counterintuitive, but they work. They're about keeping the lines of communication open, which is really key, really key. But that's the number one way that we're able to reach out to the parents and to families We have one day, we have 9-10 parents call the chapter counselor in a day. And we don't have those kinds of resources, so this is one way to reach out as many parents as we can.
And how often do you run these workshops, and do you know when your next one's coming up?
We're in the planning process right now. We do 3 to 4 a year. We're looking at January, February, and maybe April this year. They'll be at 3 different high schools.
Excellent. That's a program I wasn't aware of, and I think it's really amazing, especially the way you've got the drug kits, and like you said, education is going to be really helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's really important that we're out there helping to raise awareness of our services and ways that we can help the families that are struggling and help prevent families from having to ever go through these kinds of tragedies. And it's opportunities like this that allow us to get our message out and have the privilege to get to meet people who have been so successful. So I'm really grateful that you invited me to be here and that you're taking the initiative to do this and to really help raise awareness for the people in our community about the services that are available.
So Jen, do you have anything to kind of say in your wrap up of being here today? And
well, I'm grateful for the opportunity, so thank you for having me. You know, it's only by the grace of a higher power that I am here today, and it is thanks to services like Alouette Addictions and like Cythera and all of the countless other services that are actually available in our community that people just don't know are there and are poorly funded. It's, you know, there's so much available to us. We need more. It's a really sad situation, but because addicts, they have to hit a bottom in order to. It's like you have to break in order to be put back together. You know, it's like a glass. You know, but once we can hit that bottom, we have that small window of time to have those pieces put back together. So my message is that it's just so crucial that these services be available immediately when that addict or alcoholic chooses to try to build themselves back up again. And that's currently not as available as it needs to be in our community.
Absolutely. And how can people contact Alouette Addictions? We've just scratched the surface because you guys are doing such amazing work on such a large spectrum. I'm sure that people are going to have questions and they're going to want to contact you and find out more information. What's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Give us a call. So 604-467-5179 is our phone number. We have our website, alouetteaddictions.org. We're on Facebook. You can send us an email, info@alouetteaddictions.org, or you can come to drop-in any morning. And we're right above the Bella Vita, so 225th and Lougheed Highway, where the Dairy Queen is and the Scotiabank. We're kitty corner from there upstairs, so you just simply come on in. And I say simply, but for a lot of people, that flight of stairs is the longest flight of stairs they'll ever walk up, right? So don't mean to minimize it, but we're there, we're available. When you're ready to take the stairs, we're going to be there.
Well, thank you both so much for coming in. Like I said, I think we just scratched the surface, and there's definitely more that each of us can do. Being part of Maple Ridge or Pitt Meadows or this community, we all owe it to our community to contribute in whatever way we can. And thank you guys so much for being open and honest, because it is very challenging to do that. But I think for the betterment of the community, it's really great to have you. So
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, really good, guys.
Hi, I'm Chelsa Meadus, and I'm running for your Maple Ridge City Council. I believe an engaged community is a healthy community. If a senior feels unsafe walking in the downtown core, that matters. If there's no transit in your area and you find yourself waiting for a bus that never shows up, that matters. If you're a local business owner and you're struggling, or you're trying to work in the downtown core but don't have internet access, that matters. If you find yourself spending less time with your family and more time commuting to work, that matters. If you dream of a place you can live, work, and play and want to feel more connected to your community, that matters. I'm Chelsa Meadus. If you feel you don't have a voice, that matters to me. Together, we will do better.